guacamole. We've got a lot to talk about because I've got a lot on my mind, and so does Jenna. So stay tuned and join us in the live chat, and don't forget to tweet us.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
You know, sometimes you just can't be friends, and you just gotta duke it out in the dirt.
Gotta be a backstabber.
Just like Nelson and Corey. Oh my God, I cannot believe this episode. This is probably my favorite episode of all time.
Yeah.
I just want to throw that. I probably
big statement.
It's
All-time
been
favorite.
maybe not all time, but at least like for a few seasons.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Well, welcome to AfterBuzz. This is the challenge Bloodbath, episode 11. Thank you for joining us. My name is Paulina Aguilar, and you guys can find me on Twitter at _Paulina Aguilar and on Instagram at Paulina Aguilar. Please welcome my wonderful co-host Jenna.
I am so excited to talk about this episode. This was crazy. I feel like this is the episode we deserved for this season.
Yes.
It's been a little iffy at points, overall good season, but this is what we needed.
Yes.
The elimination, CT said he's never seen an elimination like this. And this is from a guy who made a human backpack out of Johnny Bananas and another elimination.
And that's a big statement coming from him.
Crazy.
Yes.
So excited to talk about it. You guys can find me on Twitter at Jenna_Bussiere.
And once again, thank you guys for joining us. We're going to try to get the live chat up on here in the studio, so please be patient. If not, you guys can always tweet us, okay? All right, let's get down and dirty and let's just get into it and talk
Still
about
processing it. I'm just like, I'm
she
shaking
really
right
is.
now.
She was like yelling at me watching this show. Wait, play it again, play it again,
Pause
play
it.
it
Go
again.
back. How did Amanda do that? Wait, what did Ashley just do? I get way too invested into this. I'm all riled up. I feel like I need to be in the elimination.
I think all of us watching
Okay.
can feel it through the computer right now. All right, let's get down to it with Exit. This was the Underdog Bloodbath pre-elimination, elimination to the elimination. Basically, you are harnessed to a pole and you got to swing around and pick up your bags, which are full of puzzles, and then you have to go and solve the puzzle, which is kind of like Sudoku, where everything has to add up to 21 and they can't be the same row and column. Mm-hmm. I like puzzles. I like to watch them. I may not be very good at them. I feel like I'm like adequate. I loved it. I don't know. What did you think?
I loved watching it. I would not have loved to partake in this one.
Why?
Because I understand it was kind of an easier puzzle for a lot of people watching it. You're just you're trying to add up to 21. You have to count the ridges. But Paulina and I sat there and we paused, and I miscounted because that one with the flame, I thought I was counting each point of the flame. So I counted 5 when it was 1. So I can see how it can be confusing.
See, I would win.
Right.
I'd beat you.
But there's also so many other factors that play into it. You're focused on the person next to you. You're focused on the girls that are screaming because they already won. You're feeling the heat of the moment. It's really just a mental strength game. It's a lot more than just adding numbers and filling in a puzzle. So I feel like it's a lot more difficult than it just looks on the outside.
Well, I just want to point out that the girls seem to do that a lot quicker than the guys, and I wish Mugga Rippy was here so I can rip him apart on this, because we'd probably be in a really good debate about it, that girls are better than boys.
I mean, granted, that wasn't the smartest crop of fellas. No offense, guys, but going into
But it took them a long time, and in the moment, you're tired, it's hot, like you said, you're worried about everybody else, and you need to focus on that, and it is all mental. I think majority of sports, 90% of it is mental.
And that's just the mentality of not just being smart enough to fill out a puzzle, but being smart enough to really zone in on it and not care about what's going on around you, which I think would be the hardest thing for me. And obviously we saw Jenna panic, even though she's pegged as not being the most intelligent player.
Which I think is a total lie, because if you look back in a challenge where it was trivia, she got all those answers right.
That's what I feel like. It's more of just being intelligent.
Yeah.
Flat out. Like, there's a lot more variables that play into it with just your mental strength. So I feel bad. It's a little disappointing that she went home on a puzzle, but if it was coming down to a puzzle, I had a feeling Jenna really wasn't going to make it out, which I love her, so that was sad.
Well, what about Hunter?
Bye.
What's that song?
Wait, do you
bye, goodbye. Na, na,
Good job, Paulina. That's like the most recognizable song ever. It took you a little bit.
I could have stayed, he could have left.
Well, my thing is, remember when Hunter said nobody in the entire house could beat him? And then everybody in the entire house just beat him. So that's
why you got to keep your mouth shut.
He was a little too confident.
Exactly, and that's the thing. But I feel like people don't learn that unless they go through that themselves and they experience it. So hopefully, you know, when he comes back, he's got a little bit of a better attitude.
My favorite part also was all of the champions commentary throughout that entire Underdog
sack of potatoes, Corey, going to buy some. That was, you know, that's kind of one of my favorite things about watching the challenge is the commentary by them.
It was so funny. Daryl's like, well, I don't think Nelson can count. And CT saying Hunter's brain is going to bleed as soon as he has to start dealing with numbers. So that entire time we were cracking up.
No, my favorite is CT with next on the challenge, we're still solving the puzzle.
And his voice was really good at it too. It sounded very legit.
And guys, at home, let us know and tweet us what your favorite commentary anybody has ever said. I think Bananas is probably the best at it, but I enjoyed watching those.
I feel like we didn't talk about the girls in this challenge that much. Well, I feel like the challenge in general we could have done without the whole X thing, right? I feel like
I liked it.
I feel like there wasn't really a point to it. It wasn't really exciting. They kind of just swung around a little bit. It took everybody a few minutes, a minute or two to get their puzzles. The climax of it was just the competitors figuring out the puzzle. That seemed to be really like, I was like, all right, the X thing, it didn't even do anything.
I can see your view on that. I think the more, if I was competing, the more I got to do in something, the more fun it is for me, the more fun it is for them who are competing. All right, okay, a little bit more time to get, you know, your mentality straight, or I mean, it's physical and mental. I think it's a good mix.
And there has to be more to a challenge other than a puzzle. I just felt like the X part, them on the harness, fell a little bit flat for me. Yeah. It just wasn't as exciting as it had potential to be.
Well, the fortress was sure exciting.
Oh my God.
Oh boy. All right, let's get into it.
No,
so we have inside, well, don't pass out because then I have nobody to talk to. Well, I have my fans.
Yeah, can you take this
I have the fans to talk to. So Inside Out, you start off with 3 people and basically they pull each other apart and see who can ring the bell. We've seen this before in previous challenges. I like it. You got to stick with the classics. It doesn't get old. Go. What were your thoughts on? Let's start with the girls.
Well, first off, this looks excruciating, not just because it's pulling each other in opposite directions, but it's harnessing in on all of your pressure points. Like, it just looks so uncomfortable in your neck area. As soon as you take off and you all separate from each other, you're bouncing back on your neck and on your back. It's squeezing your stomach. There's so many factors to this that look so painful. And it's just, it comes down to a matter of outlasting your competitor. Like, I've seen Emily do it. Cara has done it in the past. I'm like, all right, this is just when you dig deep, sink in the sand, and you outlast your competitor. But it turns into a completely different game. And it turned into just the Ashley and Amanda ganging up on Nicole, and it got ruthless, and I loved it.
The one thing that happened before was Nicole had turned around, sat on her butt, and pulled with her arms. I don't know about you, but I've never seen that in that particular challenge. I didn't know you could do that.
I think that, and we talked about this before, but we couldn't exactly remember. I think that it was a little bit different of a setup in past challenges, where I think that they were attached to a male partner the other times, or possibly a pole, but it wasn't 3 people all attached to each other. So I don't think you had the benefit of being able to pull your
I saw that and I was like, what? Like, I wouldn't have thought about that because I wouldn't have thought that that was allowed.
I just think that that would exhaust you more. Like, if I was Nicole, it ended up.
But that can help you get some ground.
Right. It could be a good strategy, but at the same time, I don't know. I guess it's more of a personal thing. I think that that would just exert more energy for me and exhaust me. And then I would have to turn around and try and run after that. I just feel like you're doing too much.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it did not do enough because Ashley and Amanda decided to gang up on Nicole. I liked it because it was drama.
Yeah,
and I liked it because it spiced things up a little bit. Would you have done that?
Well, it seems, I didn't think about it at first, and it seems so stupid.
Who would have thought about that?
I mean, they should have.
Even the champs
really
were like, what?
Exactly. So they're sitting there, they're best friends on the show, they're the alliance, and they hate Nicole. Why would they not have thought about that from the beginning? Hey, let's work together. Well, I guess it would have singled only one of them out. So like we saw, only Ashley won and Amanda had to go back in. But it's still a way to take out your competitor. So once it did happen, it's like, duh, we probably should have done that from the start. But the thing is, Shane basically just tells him exactly what to do. Ashley's sitting there thinking, hey, you know what? Amanda, should we work together? Shane's like, okay, ladies, here's what you do. And just gives them the A to Z point A to B, this is exactly how you're going to win this elimination. And then that's what they did. So Shane, again, controlling the Underdogs team.
So how do you think that worked out, that Ashley won and Amanda didn't? Because they teamed up, but there was no conversation, hey, who's going to take the win?
Yeah.
Hey, who's going to, you know, take one for the team and go back in? It was, Ashley obviously won, but was it, hey, I'm closer? Or was it back of my head, hey, I'm going to go ahead and help Ashley out, and then I'm going to go boom and run to my bell?
That was
because Amanda looked at her and she didn't race to her bell like Ashley did.
Well, that was one that I think we had to rewind a few times. We had to rewind this episode multiple times throughout the hour. So I think that was one. I was like, wait, what just happened? I think it was a matter of luck. Nicole kind of pulled around.
That's actually what a lot of people are saying in the chat, was that it was luck.
I think it kind of, Ashley worked out that she got the more fortunate of that situation. Nicole turned around and started pulling. She may have pulled Amanda's rope a little bit harder, and Ashley kind of got to scoot away. Don't really know. It just kind of worked out like that. That's what happens when you have 2-on-1. One of the two is going to win.
She knew that, though. Look at her interview on the camera afterwards. She's like, I didn't deserve it, but I did it. I'm lucky.
But would either of them truly have deserved it? You know, if Amanda won, would she have truly deserved it because they were working together and one of them had to come out on top? Who knows?
The thing is, with that comment that Ashley made at the end saying, I didn't deserve it, but I won. That makes me lose a little bit of respect for her.
But you know what I just think of? I think maybe Ashley does deserve it more because she's the one that turned to Amanda and said, hey, let's work together. She started that train of thought. She came up with that strategy, you know? You don't like it.
No.
You're an Amanda girl. That's why.
I like Amanda. I like her reasons for wanting the money, but I mean, everyone comes from a different place. Everyone has their own reasons, so you can't really knock on someone's reasons for needing the money. I think it's hard because Ashley is a really good competitor. She's passionate about it. She has heart. I think I could have done without that comment. That makes me lose a little bit of respect for her because why can't you be a little bit of a good sport, which she was rooting for Amanda, but like, I don't know, the whole like, why do you have to get down on yourself for that? Like, you got lucky. Like, it could have been Amanda and she got lucky.
I think Smashley is just full of emotion. Like, you saw her after she figured out the puzzle and the challenge. She stood up on the puzzle playing field and just put her hands down. Like, she's very theatrical and emotional with everything. So she won, and she was in so much pain throughout that entire elimination. So I think she was so relieved, and just tears started flowing. And she just, like I'm saying, is kind of a mess with her emotions. So she was probably just saying anything.
I guess. I don't know. Point. Maybe I would just keep certain things to myself. That's the only thing I didn't like. I mean, I wish Amanda would have won and come out of this. Nicole, I said last week that I thought you had to show yourself a little bit more, and you did. I have to give you props. I have to give you that respect because you did do well in the puzzle, and you beat Jenna, and you did do well in the fortress.
Well, she didn't do well in the puzzle. She did well in the elimination.
Well, she did lose. She didn't lose.
Yeah, but it was pretty horrendous. It was. I can't take away from her because I wouldn't do well, but she definitely wasn't up there with Amanda and Ashley puzzle-wise. But elimination-wise, loved everything about Nicole in that elimination. The fact that she stood up and slammed her helmet on the ground. I loved the passion, and I loved how intense and ruthless that got. And she said, let's bring it. You two want to gang up on me? Go ahead and try.
And you know what? I wish people brought more of that to the table because that's what people want to see. That's why you're on the show. And that's why it's 32 seasons long. Yeah. And that, you know, as a viewer, that's what I want to see. I love that stuff.
That's why I stood up. I started pacing around. I was like, oh, all right, here it is. Let's go.
And I said, sit down, relax. And then we get to round 2, which is Amanda and Nicole, and they changed the rope to their waist. I liked it. It was such a good match, and they each had their own strategy. And I thought I sized them up too, and I paused it and I said, okay, a little bit taller. Nicole's a little bit taller, but they're both slim and trim, so it could have gone either way.
And I think, and what made it so intense too was that it had 2 heats. I thought it was just okay. They already took part in 1 elimination this episode. They're exhausted already. Now they have to go back to back in 2 more heats in another elimination where they're tied at the waist, and now they each have to try and be the first one to get out of this ring, and they're just body weight against body weight trying to fake each other out. It's like, oh my God, this is exhausting.
Yeah, but that's what a champ is. They can handle all of that stuff with no problem.
Yeah. I liked that. I liked that elimination. I was a little stuck sometimes trying to figure out what strategy to go about this. when.
Well, after watching, what would you have done?
I don't know.
You still don't know?
No.
Oh man, I guess we got to get into a ring and like duke it out.
But I feel like
I'm a small person, so I probably would have gone with Amanda. Been like, okay, I may not be as strong as you are, or stronger than you. Let me mess with you a little bit. And I probably would have pulled a quick one because I'm pretty quick on my feet. So that I probably would have gone that same route. And I like that she did that because she didn't expect it at all. And you can totally see in Amanda's eyes and her face what she's going to do.
because it looks like such a physical game, and Nicole is such a physical player and an athlete that you needed Amanda's knowledge to spice it up, and that she used her brain and kind of went more for a mental aspect. And it worked for her. When she tied it up, Nicole won first, and then Amanda came in and tied it up 1-1. And it looks like she had it again at the end. Amanda starts running out of the ring, and then Nicole just grabs her, is like, nope, brings her, drags her back in, and then she kind of like backwards tiptoes out of the ring, which was crazy.
That was smart. I wouldn't have thought about that. But the minute that Nicole was on the floor, I would have gotten up. Like you said, Jenna said this while we were watching this, she would have gotten up and just run and pulled her to the other side.
Yeah.
That was exhausting just to watch.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the boys, because this is where the real bloodbath begins. Now, I was baffled. Well, I'm not so surprised coming from Shane. I think it was more of Nelson and how well he played this game, was making a deal with Shane and making a deal with Corey. How effing smart is that? And nobody has thought. Granted, there hasn't been a three-way competition like this, but to come up with something like that and have it actually work.
How did Nelson, of all people, pull this off? I did not think this guy had it in him. He's all about respect, integrity, and you know what, though? This entire challenge, this entire season, he's been saying all he wants to do is win a challenge. It's like a Super Bowl ring to him. So if it's like that to him, then he's going to get down and dirty and backstab his friend, which it happens all the time, but I just didn't see it coming from Nelson at all. Maybe because it's too smart for how Nelson has played this entire time.
I've always not liked the idea of playing a game dirty, as bad as bananas can be and things like that, and having good sportsmanship and being fair and all that stuff. But I think in the challenge, that just totally goes out the window. And at some point, what you're doing is not working. Nelson has had a target. He's been not that great. And so for him to come up with something like this and just win within 5 seconds is insane. I want to watch all over again.
I love the difference of reactions too, because going into it, Shane is saying he has an alliance with Nelson. They have a game plan together, and Corey's saying I have a game plan with Nelson. But Corey stands up and he is livid. Shane stands up and is laughing and is smiling, saying, "Hey, you got me, but now I'm gonna get you guys back."
He doesn't even say anything about it. You know what? He laughs, and I think as Shane, he had that in the back of his mind. Is like, hey, he may not have my back in this deal. So, because he went straight. And Nelson made his move when they both fell on the floor. I mean, I was speechless.
And Nelson just doesn't want any eye contact or any confrontation with either of them. He just puts his head down. He's like, oh, no, I just ran to the middle. It's so obvious that you played both of these two guys out, and you're just going to stand there and say, you know, I didn't do anything wrong. I just ran to the middle. Now, like, put his volume way down.
That's the way it is. Shoot, I would probably be doing that too. But Corey, that lit a fuse in him.
I mean, Shane's throwing the fire, like you said, but it's so easy when you have two knuckleheads like that going against each other that have such a short fuse.
But I've said this before, you know, like, you don't bring your friendships like that into the challenge. You keep that separate, because then this happens, and now you're not. I'm not sure if they're friends today, but now that's ruined. And then they're going to get into a fight, and that makes it even worse. You got to learn how to keep that separate and not make it personal. And
I think in this instance, it was more of a, we're the only guys left. Hunter's gone, so you and me are boys. Now let's team up and go and get Shane. And so that's where it gets more, instead of being a friendship outside of the challenge house, it's like, what? We were supposed to work together right here and now. Like, you told me 5 minutes ago we were going to do this together, and you didn't do it. What?
Well, Nelson ends up winning, and then we don't even get to see the other two go at it, because Corey's so hurt that they both start talking crap to each other that they get into a fight.
They start, like, circling each other, sizing them up.
Now what do you think is going to happen? Because I have I have my prediction.
I just think this is so stupid. Nelson, you finally did the smartest thing you've done all challenge, and you're going to ruin it by getting into a fight with someone. You're done.
Yeah, but
Go away.
Corey made the first move, though. He's the one that pushed him.
No, I know, but Nelson, just run away. Like, you won this elimination. You're safe. You're going to the final, unless there's another elimination next week. But just walk out. Like, go out of the ring, and you're done with this. Like, there's no reason for you to be lingering around, being in range of a pissed off Corey who's coming at you. And if you think that you can't handle yourself, you just won the elimination. You're safe. How are you not going to take a step back? You have to handle your temper.
And I want to give a shout out to Havoc6280 who says Corey has performed well in the past and Nelson hasn't done anything, which is true. I have to agree with that. I've said before, I would like to see Nelson go home because he hasn't really stepped up, I don't think. But let this show, like, physically he may not have shown up like in the past, but everything that he was doing wasn't working. He changed his strategy. He came up with a move. It was genius.
He changed his strategy by just doing nothing
by
somehow
doing
and
bananas
winning.
things. By doing banana things. That's what he did. Bananas was probably watching and be like, hell yeah,
changed his strategy
Nelson.
by
Now
being-
you're the bad guy and it ain't me this time.
By being the nice guy who's friends with everybody, that they all believe him because he hasn't done anything the entire challenge. He gets away with, again, not really doing anything super athletic, but still winning somehow just because he's nice to everybody.
Well, I'm going to go and predict that, okay, Corey pushes Nelson.
Oh, come on, guys.
Nelson goes in and tries to punch him again, and Corey gets a little bit of a hand on him. And MTV is very, very good with altercations. Probably not in the last World season in Seattle because I don't know what that was. But they throw a punch. They're both going to get eliminated. And guess who's going to be going into the final? Shane.
And that's it.
And
for
that's
them,
going to
right?
be his secret little plan that says all I had to do was throw some gasoline onto that fire. Think about it. The producers don't like fights. You hit, you get kicked out. Corey pushes him. And then Nelson's probably throws a punch. At least I thought I saw a punch. If they both hit each other, are they really going to get a second chance?
It absolutely looks like Nelson throws the first punch, but I'm wondering, but Corey did push him first because I'm thinking they both can't go home.
Why not?
Because what are they going to do? Bring in another underdog from Nowhere's Land? It's going to be just Shane?
No, because he can't perform by himself.
Exactly. So they have to bring somebody else in, or they're going to let Corey's push slip and throw Nelson home for actually throwing the hook.
But how bad would it be if Nelson wins?
Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just Nelson, fake hook.
I would not fake a
it.
punch. If you're going to punch someone, follow through.
I'm just trying to be like, come on, Nelson, you can't be that.
Yeah, but can you imagine Nelson wanting that so bad, winning, knowing that your strategy works, and then an altercation happens and you go home based off of it?
It looks like that's exactly what he does. That's why it's just so frustrating but hilarious, honestly, to see, because it's like, you had this, man.
So what do you think is going to happen? Who's going to go home? Who do you think they're going to pin it on? What do you guys think is going to happen? And who?
That. I just want to see
I don't want to know who you want to go home. I want to know what you think the producers are going to decide. Is it Corey going to be going home? Is it Nelson going to be going home? Or is it both?
No, I can't predict.
This is a really good teaser.
I'm very excited and anxious to see it happen, but I don't know.
I think we're all a little anxious to see it happen. Is there anything else?
I feel like there was so much challenge and elimination in this episode that there wasn't really anything else, you know?
Yeah, but there was good stuff.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what it's amazing. Like, I loved this episode. Like I was saying before, this is the episode we deserved this season,
that we all
as true
deserved,
fans,
and I hope that next week is just the same.
I agree.
Well, Jenna, tell them where everybody can find you.
Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. You can find me on Twitter at Jenna_Bussiere.
And you guys can find me at Twitter at _Paulina Aguilar and on Instagram at Paulina M. Aguilar. And we're watching the chat, and all of you guys have said, I want to end it on a good note, is all is fair in love, war, and challenges. Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz
See you later.
views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.